बिल्लाहि मिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अम्मा यतसाअलून अनिन्नबइल अज़ीमिल्लज़ी हुम फ़ीहि मुख्तलिफ़ून कल्ला सयअलमून सुम्मा कल्ला सयअलमून अलम नजअलिल अर्ज़ मिहादा वल जिबाला औतादा सदक़ल्लाहुल अलियुल अज़ीम। 10th class, I am here to deliver lecture number 29 and I will tell you about blind spot, a point, a structure. What is the blind spot? You know, I was telling you a point, a nerve which arises from the eye. This is a back side which is a retina. Some important part of retina where rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells are present, and these rod shaped, cone shaped cells, I was telling that these are important because they will capture the image. Some area of retina is without rod shaped cell, cone shaped cell, mean this area is without rod shaped cell and cone shaped cell. The area which is without rod shaped cell, cone shaped cell is called as blind spot. So you got the area. What is the blind spot? The area which is without rod shaped cell and cone shaped cell, that area is called as a blind spot. And blind spot, the nerve arises. What is the name of the nerve which carries the message from the eye to the brain? Optic nerve. Where the message is interpreted, the forebrain, the major part of the brain will interpret the message. What is the meaning of interpretation? Interpretation means that it will read the message, it will decide the message, and the message will be decided. That image will come from the eye to the forebrain. The forebrain will interpret the message. After interpretation of the message, that message will be visible. You will be able to see the image after decision from the brain. So this is not the eye only which will make the things visible to you. The brain also help, and brain is a major structure controlling all structure, being a supervisor, and brain will help you in watching the things, and brain will interpret the message. Which part of the brain will help? The yes, occipital lobe, OCCIPITAL, occipital lobe. And what is the phobia? Phobia Centralis is the area in the retina which consists of rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells. Two areas in the retina. One area is the retina with rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells, and one area of the phobia without rod shaped cell, cone shaped cell. With rod shaped cell, cone shaped cell, without rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells. With rod shaped cell, cone shaped cell mean that area is called Phobia Centralis, and Phobia Centralis, which is the area with the rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells, this area will consist of this area with the rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells, which is called Phobia Centralis. It will convert the image. How it will convert the image? We discuss about the two type of the cells, rod shaped cells and the cone shaped cells. They are rod shaped cells are involved in dim light, mean that light is not much clear, you can see at the night time, mean that when sunlight is not visible, still you are able to see the things. So which cells are working of the retina in that time? The rod shaped cells are working. When the bright light is there at the daytime, when sunlight is clearly visible, so which cells of the eye will work? The cone shaped cells will work. At that time the cone shaped cells will work, and those cone shaped cells will make the visibility of the things, of the objects at the sunlight, mean at the bright light. How they work? But before that I will tell you optic disc. What is the optic? This is the area of the eye from where the optic nerve will arise. Optic nerve will arise. What is the optic nerve? Optic nerve is the nerve which arising going towards the brain, and the nerve which is arising from the brain moving towards the brain is called optic nerve. Students, I was talking about the spinal nerve. What is the spinal nerve? Which is moving from spinal cord, which is going towards the spinal cord, which is moving away from the spinal cord, and those neurons or nerves are called spinal nerves. And the nerves are neurons which are coming from the brain and going towards the brain. They are called as cranial nerves. And the area, blind spot, yes, that is the area without rod shaped cell, without cone shaped cells, because they do not consist of of rod-shaped cell. They do not consist of cone-shaped cell. They cannot, that is not a vision area. That is the area in which optic nerve, optic disc is present, and that carries the message which is captured by rod-shaped cell, cone-shaped cell at Phobia Centralis, which is the area in the retina. So this is the retina, this is the Phobia Centralis, and that is the blind spot. Blind spot, of course, not capturing the image. Still important, still very important, because this area will carry the message by optic nerve to the brain. This area, rod shape in the dim light, the cone shaped cells will make visible objects at the bright light. 3 layers of the eye: choroid, sclera, and the retina. Retina, innermost layer with rod-shaped cell, cone-shaped cells at the back side, front part, sclera, cornea, and choroid important because choroid having a biconvex lens in the front of the eye, and that biconvex lens which is present at the front part of the eye is important because that biconvex lens is supported by the ciliary muscles, and the connective tissues are called the ligament, the suspensory ligament. Pupil size, yes, that is the key point. But before that, I will tell you about the cone shaped cell. What they do, they are sensitive in the bright light. The point I told you, if you are watching the things at the sunlight, if you are watching the things at the daytime, you are watching because of the cone shaped cell, where they are situated at the retina, which is the innermost layer, and retina has 2 points. That's the point. Retina has 2 points. Yes, the fovea centralis and the optic nerve. Optic disc mean that from where the optic nerve will arise, and the fovea centralis consists of 2 cells, the rod-shaped cell, the cone-shaped cells. And the point is how the rod-shaped cells are able to visualize the things at the sunlight. They consist of a pigment. The rod-shaped cell consists of a pigment, and that pigment is called the rhodopsin. Rhodopsin, a pigment. When light falls on the rhodopsin, what will happen? It will break and it will create the nerve impulse. What is the nerve impulse? It's the message. The message which is transmitted from the body to the brain, that is called as a nerve impulse. The message which is coming from the brain and the spinal cord to the effectors, that is the nerve impulse. Nerve impulse is the message which is carried by the neuron. The neuron which carries the message from the receptors to the brain, sensory neuron. Name the neuron which is carrying the message from the brain to the effectors, the motor neuron. Name the neuron which is interpreting the message in the spinal cord and the brain, that is the associative neuron. Associative neuron will interpret the message. It will give the message to the motor neuron. Motor neuron will carry the message from the brain to the effectors, and effectors are the muscles and the glands. So pointed how the rod-shaped cells, they are more modified cells because the most visibility is at the sunlight. So in the sunlight, what will happen? Rhodopsin is the pigment. The rhodopsin, when the light falls on this rhodopsin, where it is present? Rhodopsin is present where? It is present in the rod-shaped cells. It will break and will generate the nerve impulse. When rhodopsin is not present, and when the rhodopsin will not present, because who will provide the rhodopsin? Vitamin A. So students, why the vitamin A is important? Because you will eat the vitamin A, The vitamin A will create the rhodopsin, and the rhodopsin will create the nerve impulse in the rod-shaped cells, and that you are able to visualize at the sunlight. You are unable to see until the rhodopsin will not create the nerve impulse, which will go to the optic nerve, which will not go to the optic nerve. So if the rhodopsin is not present, it will not break down. If it will not break down, the nerve impulse will not be created. Nerve impulse, rhodopsin will not break down, the nerve impulse will not created. The nerve impulse is not created, the message will not go through the optic disc, optic nerve to the brain, to the occipital lobe of the brain, where the visionary area is there, where interpretation of the message will take place. Interpretation of the message will not take place. You are unable to see, because that is the final decision by the brain. So rhodopsin, why the vitamin A is important. Another point,
The cone shaped cells, they consist of iodopsin, another type of the pigment, and these are the main type of iodopsin, because the iodopsin which is present in the cone shaped cell, they will recognize the color, three type of the colors. So cone shaped cell, rod shaped cells, of course important. Rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells, they are important because rhodopsin, you know, the light falls on the rod shaped cells, and rod shaped cells, what they will do, they consist of rhodopsin. The rhodopsin will break down, you are able to see. But the cone shaped cells, they are more important because color distinction take place due to cone shaped cell. So iodopsin is not present, you are unable to differentiate between the colors. So rod shaped cell, cone shaped cells, they generate the nerve impulses for the dim light and also for the bright light. And once again, a little correction I will do, that the rod shaped cells will show the visibility in the dim light, and the cone shaped cell will show the visibility at the daytime. And the rod shaped cells, how the rod shaped cells will work, once again I will tell you. The rhodopsin is there, rhodopsin will get the image, and the rhodopsin will break down. When it will break down, the rhodopsin will break down. Who will produce the rhodopsin? The vitamin A will produce the rhodopsin, and then this will create the nerve impulse, and nerve impulse will go to the brain, and that brain will read the message, interpret the message by the neurons which are situated in the occipital lobe. So color blindness disease, you are listening, what is the color blindness? That I will also tell you in the next lecture, but before that I would explain the pupil, which is the opening present in the sclera choroid, and that pupil, that's the opening which will carry the light image to the biconvex lens. This was lecture number 29 for the 10th class, and we are studying structure of eye. Thank you.